Malaysian documentary maker turned jeweler Ben Rongen has worked with a team of master craftsmen to preserve the artifacts and create breathtaking, unique jewelry pieces from the ceramic shards.
Yeah, my name is Ben Rongen, originally from Australia. In terms of my background, my career, after my schooling, I actually became trained to be a staff nurse. So I actually worked in hospitals and in the medical profession for about 20 years. I did 4 years in anaesthetics. The last 7 years, whilst still in Australia, I worked for community health. At that point, I think in 1994, I'd heard that Malaysia was running a program for youth or young people here that run by the government, which was Rakan Muda. I thought it would be interesting to get involved in that program. At that time in Australia, I was running video workshops or teaching young people how to make short films. And I thought this might be something that I could do here in Malaysia, working with young people. Did that for a number of years in the early days and got involved with the Malaysian Video Awards, which also had created some categories for young people to make films and have them in the competition. So quite successful. After that, I got involved more into doing filming myself and started a production company here in Malaysia and started doing work such as television commercials, some television programs, music videos, corporate documentaries. So a whole range of different things that, to do with film and video. Then in about 10 years ago, I felt I wanted to do some documentary work, so I looked for an interesting topic to work on, and I'd heard about the Swedish archaeologist who was here in Malaysia looking for shipwrecks and had found a number of shipwrecks already, so I contacted him and he agreed to let me work with him to do a documentary. That was for History Channel. Whilst working with Stan Sjöstrand is the name of the archaeologist, he'd already found, I think, 7 shipwrecks at that time in Malaysia, the oldest one being a Sung Dynasty wreck, which is nearly 1,000 years old, and a number of shipwrecks from the 1300s, 1400s, one from 1830. But while making this documentary about Stan and the shipwrecks, he actually discovered one more shipwreck, and that turned out to be the Wanli shipwreck, named the Wanli because the shipwreck was from 1625, and that was the time in China that the Emperor Wanli was the emperor, so the shipwreck was named actually the Wanli shipwreck. That's basically, when that happened, I was able to spend time with Stan and the excavation team and Museum Negara, who we work with, to actually, over a period of 3 years, to excavate this particular shipwreck. And subsequently, whilst making this documentary, we started to realize that most of the ceramic on this particular shipwreck was broken, smashed, possibly initially by a altercation or a battle between the Dutch and the Portuguese. It was a Portuguese ship that was carrying this particular porcelain. Then basically as I said, as we excavated the shipwreck, it became clear that in the end, actually, about 90% of the cargo was destroyed.
Ben felt excited as he got to film underwater and spend a lot of time at sea. The Wanli shipwreck was found while Ben had already started filming his documentary with Stan. This particular Portuguese shipwreck sank off near Pulau Duyung, Terengganu, about 15 kilometers offshore, water depth of 40 meters. Divers are allowed to excavate and film underwater for half an hour. On the way up, they take around 55 minutes to decompress before rising above the sea level. They dive twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. The Wanli shipwreck was named after the Emperor Wanli reigning at that time in China. Another reason to the destruction of the shipwrecks were the fishing nets dragged across the shipwrecks by fishermen. The color quality of the shipwreck varies greatly. Some are still pristine and the glaze on them are shiny. Glaze refers to the very thin sheet of the glass on the porcelain, whereas some are just dull, most probably affected by the seawater. There are various motifs drawn onto the ceramics, and they all possess special meanings. The lingzi mushroom represents longevity in a Chinese culture, while lotus flower signifies purity beyond corruption. There are more examples of motifs in a Chinese context, like phoenix, dragons, and auspicious symbols carried by the 8 immortals.
So literally we were bringing up basket after basket, but all broken pieces. Even though they were broken, for me they were still quite beautiful, and they're still 400 years old. They still had a significance in terms of history, and I took a couple of these pieces and made some pieces of jewellery out of them, some pendants. Passed them to some friends of mine. They really liked it and appreciated it, and one thing led to another, and I carried on doing that and started making more jewellery out of the broken pieces, and eventually was able to negotiate a deal with the archaeologists when everything was said and done, to purchase all the broken pieces from this particular shipwreck, and that was for the purpose of actually starting a business and making jewellery out of the broken ceramics from the Wanli shipwreck. So then we experimented quite a bit, making different types of jewellery, earrings, pendants, belt buckles, money clips, all sorts of things, and actually had some of the jewellery set in silver, which looks very nice, and had a number of outlets, or found a number of outlets who were willing to take our jewellery on consignment, and started the business. So now, some 10 years later, this is what I'm still doing, making jewellery, and also involved in the actual sale of actual artifacts as well, the complete ones. So I work with the archaeologist, who has a huge collection, obviously, of ceramics, and I also deal in that.
If I'm using a piece of the ceramic I will actually see which will suit. So maybe that would be an appropriate one for this piece. Maybe a different one could be something like this. Maybe bigger. So basically I will find what suits. After I've used the particular sizing, and I'll put a template on top, and then I'm able to cut away the edges by taking away little pieces from around the edge. Sometimes I will actually use a piece without using a template, and then I'll basically roughly shape the way I want the piece, and then work it from there. And basically after that we will grind this to a pleasant shape, so that it looks nice as a piece of jewellery, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, stop for a sec. Okay, we'll do another demonstration here. Okay, so if I just want to take this piece here, I can use this tool here, lining it up, get a clean cut. You see that? And basically, from here, I will actually take the piece and then shape it on a grinding wheel. Okay.
Ben has a true passion for the historic porcelain and its hand-painted motifs. He brings new life to these 400 years old ceramic shards by creating a range of jewelry from them. This, he says, allows everyone to own and wear a piece of history.
其实Ben Rongen brand 它的口号就是 Own a piece of history。那当年为什么他会有这个想法呢？就是说，因为他的经历，因为他觉得说，在他这3年的打捞的过程当中他每一片的碎片对他来讲都是一个宝贝。那在他的心意来讲呢，就是说，这个是已经像一个孩子，他离开了家400年，然后他应该要回归世界的。所以呢，在于文化艺术不属于任何有钱人而已就是说他想要的是每一个人都应该拥有一片的历史文化，而不是说必须要买一个完整的，因为完整的都是很贵的，可能要几万块。那他也希望说这个历史文化呢是可以传给一些喜欢历史文化，然后他们也想拥有一片400年古瓷的一个纪念，这个是一个文化的保留。那之前呢，在他的理念当中就是可能亚洲人是不喜欢他的，不会喜欢，因为这个是属于中国陶瓷。可是在另外一个角度去看就是因为早几年前中国已经在说一带一路海上丝绸之路，就是说我们都在讲回如何在做这个走回海上丝绸之路这个概念嘛，是吧？所以呢在中国这一块呢，他们也是很希望在过去的一些历史的记载他们是可以有一些实在东西是可以看到的，是可以摸到的，而不是只是在于历史的在历史上读到而已。那种种的一种资料然后我就鼓励他，我们是不是要参与在一些亚洲国家做展览。所以呢，我们就第一个站呢，我们就去了台湾然后呢，我们就参加了2014年台湾的国际文创展。那时候呢，我们就是很惊讶的，就是反应是超好的。那即使是我们的那个展览的那个面积很小，可是呢，全场是爆满的。OK， 主要呢就是他们看到Ben 他所分享的，他所打捞的那个沉船纪录片的拍摄过程还有一个外国人的口中来分享中国陶瓷啦，这些历史文化等等等这样。然后呢，还有就是海洋大学有特别邀请Ben 他过去做这个演讲，他们的反应也深深的感动了 Ben， 他愿意的走出亚洲，而不是只是荷兰、欧美或者是澳洲每一片从来不会重复的，就是说你不可能在市场上看到2个是同样的一个 pendant 或者是我们的产品这样。如果我们没有我没有帮他好好的推广的话，我真的有愧于我自己，而且这个是在这个世界上没有的。如果这个2000多公斤的瓷片完了之后，这个就是跟万利号，这个万利号就是在这个历史上画上等号了，没有了。所以我是觉得我们很急的要去分享这个东西。如果我们不珍惜这一片历史的话，我们就是缺了一个400年的一个历史在我们的生命当中，你知道吗？不是每一个人都可以接触400年的历史文化。如果我能参与，我觉得我是很 lucky 的。
We have now come to Penang Colonial Museum, one of the many places where Ben exhibits a selection of accessories and artifacts as well as for sale, accompanied by a presentation on the history of the shipwreck. This promises to be a one-of-a-kind glimpse into the depths of the past.
So in this case, the shard we're looking at here is the lotus flower.
and some of these pendants are actually part of that particular lotus flower. As you can see, at the top here is the actual rim, the floral rim, and these are the actual leaves of the flower. So it is part of this particular flower. I think this piece is possibly the center of the flower. Again, the lotus is very interesting. The meaning behind lotus is purity, and purity beyond corruption, which means that from the black mud can grow a perfect white flower, untainted or uncorrupted by the mud. So it's held in quite high reverence as a symbol of purity.
Ben's artifact jewelries are consigned to Jewellery Boutique Hotel, Jad Collection, A+2 Gallery, and even in Port Dickson, Malacca. He also exhibits in countries like Taiwan, Netherlands, and others.